The night air is thick and heavy, carrying the faint scent of wet earth and the metallic tang of tension. I move silently, every step calculated, boots sinking slightly into the soft mud as shadows of twisted trees stretch across the path. Above me, the moon hangs low, barely piercing the dense canopy, leaving most of the terrain cloaked in near total darkness. I check my night vision goggles, adjusting the focus until the green-tinted world sharpens, revealing the faint outlines of barbed fences and patrol lights in the distance. Each distant crunch of leaves or snapping twig echoes like a gunshot in my mind, and I pause, holding my breath, waiting for the rhythmic footfalls of enemy soldiers to fade into the night. Ahead, the compound lies half hidden behind a ridge, its high walls silhouetted against the horizon. This is the heart of the operation where the high-value target is believed to be stationed. My objective is clear, but every inch toward it is a dance with danger. I slide behind a fallen log, scanning the perimeter, noting tripwires and camera positions, mentally mapping the safest path forward. The hum of a distant generator mixes with the chirp of night insects, masking my approach. Yet I can feel the weight of unseen eyes, the possibility of detection, lingering like static electricity. A flicker of movement catches my attention. Shadowed figures patrolling the perimeter, their torches sweeping methodically. I freeze, pressing against the earth, letting the undergrowth swallow my outline, waiting for the sweep to pass. Adrenaline sharpens my senses. Every heartbeat is a countdown. I notice faint tracks leading toward the compound, or footprints in the soft soil, evidence that the target's presence is near. The realization tightens my chest with a mix of anticipation and caution. One wrong move could compromise the mission, yet the closer I get, the more the target's presence is palpable. Slowly, deliberately, I resume my crawl through the underbrush, shadows my only ally, slipping further into enemy territory where danger lurks in every silent corner. I settle into a concealed position atop a low ridge, the rough bark of a tree pressing into my back as I scan the compound through night vision optics. The green glow reveals a network of patrol paths, searchlights cutting slow arcs across the grounds, and shadowed figures moving with mechanical precision. Every detail matters. I note the timing of each guard's steps, the gaps between their sweeps, and the areas left vulnerable by routine. Each flicker of movement could signal a patrol or a shift change, and I force myself to breathe slowly, steadying the adrenaline coursing through my veins. This is the kind of silence where every second stretches, where patience becomes as lethal as any weapon. A distant hum from a generator mingles with the night air, masking the subtle crack of twigs under a guard's boot. My heart jumps when a figure pauses at an unexpected location, head tilting as if sensing something out of place. I press myself flatter against the undergrowth, fingers brushing dirt and leaves, willing them to stay hidden. The night becomes a chessboard, each step of the enemy mapped, each potential mistake accounted for. I track the target's movements, noting patterns, the rotation of guards, their breaks, and the blind spots near the perimeter walls. Calculated patience is critical. A single misstep could blow the entire operation. Minutes stretch into what feels like hours as I adjust positions, shifting quietly to maintain line of sight while staying in the shadows. The tension is electric, the anticipation almost unbearable. I feel the weight of responsibility, the knowledge that lives, my own, and potentially others, depend on my decisions in this silent theater. As I watch the compound, a subtle opening appears, a lightly guarded corridor that could bring me closer to the high-value target. The risk is undeniable, yet the opportunity too precise to ignore. I take a final breath, tighten my grip on the rifle, and begin planning my next move, ready to advance deeper into enemy territory with every nerve on alert. The earth is slick beneath my boots, mud clinging with every careful step as I hug the edge of the compound, shadows stretching and folding around me like a living cloak. Every rustle of leaves, every distant voice carries the weight of potential discovery. I pause frequently, scanning for tripwires and the faint glint of camera lenses catching stray moonlight. The night feels alive, almost sentient, each sound amplified against the oppressive silence. My breathing is measured, slow, but even so, my pulse thrums like a warning drum, reminding me that one misstep could unravel everything. A patrol rounds a corner, boots thudding softly but distinctly against the ground. I freeze, pressed low against a mound of earth, my gloved hands gripping the rifle tight enough to leave impressions in the leather. The light from a distant spotlight swings near, and I flatten myself, counting seconds that feel like lifetimes. A dog barks somewhere beyond the perimeter, nose catching scents I cannot control, and I shift slightly to stay downwind, the tension tightening my chest. Each sensory detail, the scraping of branches, the low hum of distant machinery, the rhythmic clinking of a soldier's gear, paints the scene in vivid realism, forcing the audience to feel every heartbeat with me. I trace the path along the fence, noting weaknesses and timing the movements of guards with meticulous care. A small gap appears where the perimeter slackens, a narrow corridor between two watchtowers. I weigh the risk, calculating angles, distances, and shadows before deciding to move. Sliding through the underbrush, I feel the soft give of leaves and the damp brush of grass against my arms. The danger is immediate, visceral, yet the path forward is clear. Every cautious step brings me closer to the target, the perimeter's defenses alive with silent threats, reminding me that in this theater of shadows, patience, precision, and nerves are the only allies I can trust. The walls of the compound rise higher as I draw closer, dark silhouettes against the muted glow of the night sky. Every step is measured, deliberate, as I move from one shadowed cover point to another, each fallen tree, pile of debris, and low wall providing temporary sanctuary. The night feels alive with tension, the distant thump of boots, the quiet murmur of radios, and the occasional sharp bark of a guard dog create a soundtrack of imminent danger. My senses sharpen, not each rustle of leaves or snap of a twig demanding attention. One misstep could alert the patrols, and the thought tightens my chest with a mix of fear and focus. A narrow corridor between two supply sheds presents the next challenge. The path is cluttered with obstacles, and the walls are topped with barbed wire that glints faintly under the moonlight. I pause, evaluating the risks. A guard rounds the corner, flashlight sweeping the area I need to cross. I flatten myself against the cold earth, holding my breath, letting the seconds stretch like hours. The patrol moves past, oblivious to my presence, and I inch forward, pulse still hammering. The compound is alive with unpredictability, rotating guards, shifting shadows, and the constant hum of electrical equipment. Every calculated move is a negotiation with fate. As I advance, a faint noise, a sliding metal gate, or shifting debris demands instant reassessment. I weigh my options, wait for another patrol to pass, or risk the narrow window of opportunity before me. The tension is nearly unbearable. My body is taut, senses hyper-aware of every vibration and whisper in the darkness. With a final glance at the target's position, I make the choice, moving through the corridor with fluid precision, feeling the weight of the mission pressing against my shoulders. The path forward is fraught with danger, yet the stakes are clear, and I know that every careful, silent step brings me closer to the moment that will define the mission. I crouch behind a crumbling wall, the rough concrete pressing against my forearm as I bring the night vision optics into focus. The compound stretches out below me, every shadow, doorway, and flicker of movement illuminated in green-tinted clarity. My eyes lock onto a figure moving through the courtyard, tall, deliberate, guarded, and I confirm the target's identity. Relief flickers for a moment, quickly replaced by the steady drum of tension. This is only the beginning. Understanding routines, vulnerabilities, and blind spots is the difference between success and disaster. Through the scope, I map patrol rotations, noting the precise timing of each guard sweep, the brief lapses in surveillance, and the small gaps in fencing that could offer a path forward. Each observation is painstaking, demanding absolute stillness as the air around me vibrates with distant engines and the occasional murmur of radios. My heartbeat threatens to betray me, but I force it down, matching the rhythm of the night. Then, a sudden metallic scrape, too deliberate to be coincidence, draws my attention. A secondary guard has appeared, moving along an unexpected route, scanning areas I had assumed were clear. My mind races, calculating adjustments. Should I wait, shift position, or improvise a new path? Every decision now carries weight. I adjust my position slightly, keeping low, shifting shadows to obscure movement, while still maintaining line of sight on the target. The risk is immediate, tangible, and electrifying. With patience as my weapon, I continue to track the target, memorizing every nuance, every movement, while simultaneously dodging the unpredictable presence of the new guard. In this moment, the mission crystallizes. Precision and timing are everything. One wrong move could alert the enemy, yet with careful calculation, I can exploit their blind spots. The tension tightens, but clarity comes with focus, and the next steps in the approach begin to take shape in my mind. The target is in sight, a solitary figure moving with deliberate precision in the center of the courtyard. I tighten my grip on the rifle, feeling the cold metal against my palms as every muscle in my body braces for the final approach. Shadows stretch across the compound, hiding walls and corners, but nothing can hide the faint glint of a watchful guard or the subtle movement of a camera lens. Each step forward is a negotiation with gravity, terrain, and timing. I move from one cover point to another, a stack of crates, a low wall, the shadow of a tree, calculating distances, breathing in rhythm with the night, aware that even the smallest sound could trigger disaster. A gust of wind shifts the scent and rustles dry leaves across my path, momentarily drawing a guard's attention. He pauses, scanning, and for a heartbeat I freeze, pressed against the earth, every sense screaming to stay invisible. The world contracts to a narrow tunnel of focus. The target's position, the guard's patrol route, the faint hum of a generator masking my subtle movements. I adjust, improvising a slightly longer path to remain unseen, letting the tension coil tighter with each careful step. Every shadow becomes a potential threat, every faint echo a warning. Despite the strain, focus sharpens, fear becomes calculation, and anticipation transforms into precision. I crawl into the final observation point, concealed yet with a perfect line of sight on the target. The air is thick with expectation. Each heartbeat amplified in my chest, every sense on high alert. From this vantage, the mission is poised on the edge. One more decision, one more move, and the next moments will define success or failure. The compound is alive with quiet menace, but now, in this final position, I am ready. Every painstaking step, every patient observation has led to this moment. The tension is absolute, the stakes undeniable, and I wait, silent and unseen, as the climax of the mission draws inexorably closer. The first light of dawn begins to creep over the horizon, brushing the compound's walls with a pale, muted glow. I move deliberately, every step measured, retracing my path through the shadows I had carefully mapped hours before. The night's tension still thrums in my veins, but the immediate danger has eased slightly. Aunas guards are on predictable rotations now, the high-value target secured from my observation, and the task becomes one of silent extraction. The mud still clings to my boots, leaves rustle under my careful steps, and the faint hum of generators marks the rhythm of the compound waking. Each motion is deliberate, every breath controlled as I slip through gaps in the perimeter unnoticed. As I pause behind a low embankment, I take a moment to review the mission in my mind. Every careful movement, every split-second decision that kept me undetected plays back vividly. The night vision optics, the calculated approach along the perimeter, the precise observation of patrols, all elements of a silent, methodical operation that define the success of the mission. This is the essence of the POV, silent approach toward high-value target. Every action measured, every second critical, every decision a matter of life or death. The adrenaline ebbs slightly, replaced by a sharp, focused reflection on what was achieved and what could have gone wrong. Finally, I reach the extraction point where the terrain opens to a safer route away from the compound. The tension gradually unwinds. Yet the lessons of vigilance and patience remain etched into my muscles and mind. I slip into the shadows, leaving the night and the mission behind, knowing that the precision, stealth, and calm calculation of the operation have carried me through. The experience lingers, a reminder that every silent approach matters, and that the next mission will demand the same discipline, courage, and awareness. With one last glance at the compound fading behind me, I vanish into the early morning, ready for whatever comes next.